Welcome back, everybody. Today we will be discussing the Jordan 1 Mocha once again. Specifically, we will be discussing some release info, how to cop, and of course, some resale predictions for both the grade school and men at the end of the video. The Jordan 1 Mocha releases on December 19th in Europe. They already had their drop outside of Europe back on October 31st. Now keep in mind, just because this is an EU drop, that does not exactly exclude US from being able to cop, because these are certainly worth reshipping due to the high profit. We'll discuss that a little later. After discussing the sites how to cop, I'll talk about a reshipper I always personally use. It's not a sponsorship, it's just one that I think will definitely help you guys out for this and for future reference. Retail is $170 or 160 euros on men's and $130 on grade school pairs. The total worldwide stock on both pairs combined is 280,000 pairs, as I discussed in my last videos about these. Keep in mind that a huge portion of this has already been released and is already in circulation. I don't think that the additional Europe stock will affect the market too much, and not noticeably at all long term. For scale, the Jordan 11 Jubilee will have over 700,000 pairs, the Yeezy 350 Bread had over 575,000 pairs, and the Jordan 1 Metallic Gold had 90,000 pairs. So this isn't the highest stock, but it's pretty high stock relative to a Jordan 1. But just keep in mind that demand always plays an exponentially larger factor regarding price influence. Regarding resale, again, we will cover that towards the end of the video as always, and it's looking great. With the release info out of the way though, let's jump into how to cop these. Regarding any raffles, we won't see any just yet, but when the 19th does start to approach, I will be posting a raffle list on my Twitter, KeithAdam10, and Personals for You, so it's highly suggested you do follow these accounts, not just for the raffles, but also for urgent info like shock drops, restocks, or drop links, such as the Stussy drop today that lots of people were able to get manually, which was great to see. Anyway, moving on from raffles though, let's discuss the first come first serve releases. One of your best chances manually, which is still going to be very difficult of course, is going to be Soulbox, since their bot protection has been pretty good recently, primarily if you have access to a monitor. If you don't have access to a monitor, I would suggest following more sneakers on Twitter. They usually tweet out Soulbox relatively fast, so you will still have somewhat of a chance at least, especially since I do expect stock to be pretty decent on here. Make sure you have your address already added to your account. If you are in the US, you will need to add your reshipper's address. Speaking of monitors though, after having a nice cookout on the Stussy Soulbox shock drop, I have decided to do a tiny Endurance Europe restock at 9 p.m. CET on Sunday, 13 December. This is for Europe only. US will not be restocked. Unfortunately, stock will be limited, so I apologize in advance if it does sell out too quick. There will be more opportunities in the future though, I do promise you guys that. Just follow Endurance's Twitter for the link and password and future updates. But anyway, moving on, Foot Locker Europe will get a good amount of stock as well, but it's usually near impossible to cop off of there manually, unfortunately. Regardless, it's definitely worth a try simply due to the fact that they do get really decent stock compared to other Europe retailers that are dropping around that time. It will be a queue release, so you don't need to be focused on there at exactly 9 a.m. CET. You can just instead leave your tabs open. You can even set them up beforehand, and since it is a queue drop, I do suggest using multiple Chrome users to increase your chances of passing queue more efficiently. One potential drop that I can't confirm now is Snipes. Since they usually do drop Jordans of this stock, especially Jordan 1s, the product page should load before the drop, so you'll know for sure then, but I'd say you have a better chance at Soulbox compared to here just because Snipes does get botted really hard. The same goes for Courier, though they will post on Instagram if they are dropping, so you'll know for sure as well for there, just like Snipes, and when they always do announce that they are dropping, it usually always is 9 or 10 a.m. CET. In addition to those, I'm pretty confident that Zalando should be dropping as well. It should load a few days or the day before the drop. The product page currently isn't up as of now. Some regions do drop before 9 a.m. CET, so keep that in mind. I would highly suggest paying attention to your monitors if you do have access to any, because we almost always see some regions drop before 9 a.m. CET. It's usually not the main regions like UK or Germany, but many of the smaller regions do tend to drop like 15 or 20 minutes early, so just be on the lookout for that and make sure that you are signed into your account with your info added in advance as well. And last but not least, your number one chance for copying by far for these will definitely be Nike sneakers. Not only is the most stock allocated by Nike sneakers by a significant amount, but they have also been making it more difficult to bot mass pairs as well. It will be at 9 a.m. CET as well. Now, what's the most efficient way to cop off of Nike sneakers manually? Well, I made a full in-depth video regarding this and everything inside out that you guys do need to know, so feel free to check that out here. However, I'll just give you guys the brief rundown now, since I did just talk about this in my last video and I don't want to repeat myself too much. This drop is going to be a Leo drop. Leo drops essentially look very similar to a first come first serve, but are actually just a 2 to 3 minute draw in disguise. Leo stands for let everyone order, and it's not quite that simple either when it comes to these very hype drops like Off-White, Travis, Jordan 1 highs, etc. Filtering of accounts is very high, so in order to combat this, you do need to prime your Nike sneakers accounts, basically just generating some human-like activity rather than using brand new accounts that have no activity whatsoever. I go more in depth into that video. I go over this nearly every video that has sneakers in it, so I don't want to bore my subscribers who've seen that, so be sure to check out the video if you are new to this and you haven't seen that before. But just a reminder, in case anyone does need more sneakers accounts, because they do require SMS verification, you could either use your friend to help you out by using their phone number, requesting the verification code from them, or if you don't want to bother them or you just want a mass amount of accounts in general, feel free to check the link in the description for my site Tars, where you can purchase pre-verified Nike sneakers accounts. Now, with the sites out of the way, I did just want to make a brief mention to the reshipper that I have been using for many years now. This would be, of course, for all the US guys going for this drop. If you're in Europe, you obviously don't need to worry about this. The one that I have been using over the years is called tiptrans. After you do make an account, just go to your account profile and scroll to your address. Then you will see it here. You have multiple addresses depending on which location you desire. For example, there's a UK location, there's also a Germany location. Then you just take that into the format they give you, then add that into your Google Chrome autofill, or if you are botting, obviously add that into your bot profiles. It's all really self-explanatory, and they do have guides on the site as well. You don't have to top up funds either until you do actually get the product at your location, and they do email you when that does happen. So don't worry about adding any money into the account at all until you actually successfully cop a pair and it does arrive at the location. Then at that point, they will give you the total of what it's going to be for the small fee, in addition to the fee of the shipper that you want to use. So you'll actually get to choose if you want to use UPS, for example, or if you want to use a different company. It's completely up to you. They are different prices, of course, but some do have higher ratings than others. I usually tend to go for the more expensive ones just because it makes me feel a little more secure. I tend to stay away from the really, really cheap one just because I do fear that maybe my package might be damaged from that. But anyway, yeah, it's all pretty self-explanatory. I just wanted to mention that, not just for this drop, of course, but just in general, it's super useful because obviously if you did set this up for before the Stussy drop, you could have went for the UK drop as well as going for the US drop. That's just one of the many examples. But anyway, moving on from that, regarding resale now, with how to cop out of the way, all sizes in men and grade school will be very profitable with a great margin, full throttle of course, and they are 100% worth the reshipping costs. So no holding back whatsoever. As for how the resale will be affected post the Europe drop, I really don't think it will much at all. I could definitely see the price potentially dropping around the 17th to 18th before the drop actually takes place, since I do expect some people will be anticipating an influx in pairs in circulation. Hence, some of those may actually end up trying to sell their pairs before they might expect that potential dip in price. But when people do realize how hard they were to get and how low stock is in general compared to demand on these, I do think that prices should recede back to where they initially were, like how they are right now, just within a week or less, possibly even within the day of the drop or so. So I definitely think that long term, bottom line is that the Europe stock is not going to affect the market overall. But again, you may see that temporary dip. It's definitely not going to last long. But anyway, that will conclude it for today. Feel free to leave a like if you did enjoy, or you perhaps learned a thing or two. Also, subscribe and enable post notifications just so you're always 100% updated on all hyped releases. And don't forget, to all my European brothers, the limited endurance restock will be at 9 p.m. CET on Sunday, 13 December. Follow Endurance's Twitter for the link and password. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description below for reliable, fast, residential proxies and pre-verified Nike sneakers accounts. And last but not least, make sure to follow Keith Adam 10 and Personals for You so you guys stay updated on all urgent info like what I was discussing today, in addition to the raffle list too. With that though, I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day.